gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Wire2Wire Sports Podcast proudly brings to you the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions of the World.
Ears already hurt.
Wrong one. All right, welcome back to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. In the upper left corner, we got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cottrell.
Gentlemen, Gene's obviously fired up. I'm fired up. Got a packed show.
I'm EA
We're in the thick of it.
I'm in the game. In the upper right corner, we got Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, Mr. William Shallcross, Willie S.
Willie S. Gentlemen, how is everyone tonight? Oh, no, it's back.
The BuzzFeed of Shally is back, but that's okay because we're fired up. We're ready to rock and roll. We're getting rocking. We got a lot to talk about. We got MLB playoffs. We got NFL action, trades happening. The Browns are giving up on the season, giving away Amari Cooper. Super Bowl teams are just quitting. I'm just kidding. We got to talk about a rough weekend for Cottrell. Very rough weekend for Cottrell. Ohio State loses, the Browns lose, and the Guardians are down 2-0 in the ALCS. Listen, it's been a tough 4 days, and I just want to make sure my man's okay. He's got a fresh haircut. He's looking good. Cottrell, are you okay? The listeners want to know, are you all right?
I mean, we hang in there. Luckily, championships aren't won in two of the sports in October. So, actually, in any of them, hopefully. So, I got a lot of hope. I'll say that. Losing one game in the regular season for Ohio State, not the end of the world. Obviously, I wanted to win that game because of the connection with me and Alex, and then Sunday to just pile on. We lost to the Eagles. I mean, obviously
doesn't get much worse than that, right?
Doesn't get much worse than that in a weekend. And then being down 2-0 versus the Yankees, it definitely sucks, especially the way it looked. But one thing that gives me hope, and it's something that you guys saw just recently. Last year in the playoffs, looked like the Diamondbacks were left for dead in the series against the Phillies. But they got back home and they started fighting. I'm hoping we get a little bit of that Diamondback dust in Cleveland on the flight back, and hopefully we can pull out 2 games at home, get back in the series.
Look, I'm not going to beat you up, dude. I'm not. And Peter Fausto is. He's proven for the Dodgers. He's ready for whoever. It doesn't matter. But I'm not going to beat you up over it. It's a rough weekend. I'll say this. I've never seen a football team win a football game and have speculation that their coach being fired after watching the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll get into that tonight. That's literally something I'm going to address at, 8:58? But what a freaking moron that guy is.
Doesn't know how to read the room.
No. You're arguing with your fans? Like, what are we doing? But we got a lot to get into. Let's talk about baseball first. Let's talk about baseball. Let's stay in the series that we're talking about. Guardians, Yankees. Yankees up 2-0 in New York. Shally, I would love like a full landscape breakdown of how the Guardians can get back in this series. Aaron Judge finally hit a ball that went over the fence. He was batting 120, hit one out. He said that the ghosts of the Yankees were pushing that one out. And Alex, I promise we'll get there. You can see the topic list. It's right there. But Shally, give me a breakdown of how Cottrell's Guardians can get back in the series.
Well, first and foremost, we're going to keep it simple. You got to win game 3. You got to find a win that first game at home. Like they always said, it's not a series until somebody wins an away game type thing. So they got to win game 3. I think the Yankees announced they're pitching Schmidt. I'm not sure who's pitching for Cleveland. I don't know if that's been announced. I looked at it earlier. I didn't see it. Cottrell might know. But got to win game 3. Got to get in front of that home crowd. The fans there, I mean, they'll show up. That place will be packed. And honestly, I don't think I deviate from the strategy, to be completely honest. They just got to start hitting. If they can start hitting, and like I said, win game 3, then I think it's a completely different discussion. I'm still – I think Aaron Judge kind of got lucky and hit a high fastball and it went out. Until he starts demonstrating, starts hitting the ball hard consistently, I'm not letting Juan Soto beat me. I'm not right now.
Bro, how about the intentional walk to Soto to get the Judge? Is like the MVP. You intentionally. Now I get it. Juan Soto's hitting well and Judge is not. But like, how's that got to feel to your psyche being the MVP of the American League and getting in and having the guy in front of you intentionally walk to get to you?
But think about what it does. What's the one thing when you're in a really bad slump that you don't want to do? You don't want to have to come up in a situation where you absolutely have to come through. So now all of a sudden, like you said, you're slumping. You're. I mean, let's be honest. Aaron Judge is, an elite player. He's in his head, like you said. Guys are doubting me. I'm the MVP. He's already he's already pissed off. He's not hitting well, and now all of a sudden he's walking to the plate. If you just watch Juan Soto, get intentionally walk to load the bases in front of me, it makes you press a little bit. In front of the home crowd, Yankees fans are already getting on him, saying he's the next A-Rod, great regular season player, not a postseason player. I think from Cleveland's point of view, honestly, I think it's smart. I really do. For whatever it's worth, I mean, the home run he hit last night was meaningless, to be completely honest. I think he swung at a high fastball that he barely got on top of. It wasn't a great pitch to swing at, and he got it up in the air enough and it went out. Again, to me, he has not consistently demonstrated that he's the guy that's going to beat them right now. Juan Soto is. The difference with Juan Soto is, we've talked about it all the time, he has one of, if not the best feel for the strike zone in baseball. And when he's patient and when he's hot, he will not swing at a ball. You are going to have to throw him a strike. And if you throw him a strike and you miss, he's, especially in New York with a short porch, he's going to hurt you. I'm not letting Juan Soto beat me. Now, if Aaron Judge comes out tomorrow night and hits 3 home runs, then all right, it is what it is. But I don't think we're there. But they got to win Game 3, and the biggest thing with them is they got to worry about themselves, worry about their own clubhouse. They got to hit. They got to come out, get on Schmidt early, get a couple runs early, get that crowd really into the game, get them loud, and put some pressure back on New York. That is absolutely step number one of what they have to do tomorrow night. They have to put some pressure back on New York and make New York feel like it's a series, because right now they're coasting.
I will just add on to that. I mean, I think obviously, the Guardians haven't hit well in this series. The only person that's really been hitting is Brian Rocchio, their shortstop, and then Stephen Kwan. It's been a nice 9-1, back to back. Those two guys get on base, but then you get to the 2 spot, you get to Ramirez at 3, and you can't bring those runs in. So, of course, hitting is going to be important in this series. I think the biggest thing they have to do is stop shooting themselves in the foot. The Yankees already have a high-powered offense. You don't need to spot them runs in games like this. You give up 2 runs the first game off of wild pitches that, Stephen Vogt shouldn't have even had the kid pitching in that matchup to begin with. But you give up 2 runs in that situation right there that already, for offense that's struggling to put up runs, a 2-run deficit feels like 8, in right. That kind of game, especially when you're on the road and that the Yankees are going to be able to hit the ball out the park in that stadium. And then in Game 2, you're in a situation where literally the first inning, your Gold Glove shortstop, Brian Rocchio, has an opportunity to get the second out in an inning, and he drops it, and a run goes home. And ultimately, that led us to Aaron Judge getting a chance to get up and fly out, with the sac fly, and that scored the second run in the inning. If you catch that ball there and that Aaron Judge fly out happens, you're out of the inning with no runs. And it was second and third with no outs, and you would have been in a great position had that happened. But that already swings that momentum early to New York, and now you're chasing. And so guys come up to the plate. They feel like they have something. They have something to prove. They're not always just looking for the best pitch. They're just trying to get something out there to try to put runs on the board and essentially be the hero. And that's not the way that this team is set up to be. I mean, Alex said it earlier, small ball is the way to go. And that's how you really have to play. Outside of Jose Ramirez and John Kinsey Noel, I mean, you don't really have guys that are built to just knock the ball out of the park, anytime that they're up at the plate. So I think the big thing for them is if you can have your pitching start out stronger, I'm not even saying you have to go 5-6 innings. If you can get through 4 with your starting pitching and get to your bullpen, and at that point, either have one or no runs on the board, you're going to give your team, yourselves the opportunity to win baseball games in Cleveland.
I mean, it's facts. See, the one thing I kind of want to add to what you're saying is they're handing the ball to Matthew Boyd in game 3. Guy's got 8 starts all year. He's been good in the postseason, but he's not gone deep. He's only pitched 4 innings, 2 innings. Hasn't allowed a run, which is great, but the Cleveland Guardians have to score runs early in order to beat the Yankees in this game. They get in a deficit early in game 3. You might want to pack it up. It might be over. Like, we didn't play game 4 because you go down 3-0 to that team. You're not winning. And it's an opportunity for Cleveland to get back in the series. It's an opportunity for the fan base. And it's not like the Guardians don't have a lineup that can put runs up on the board. Steven Kwan's batting almost 500 this postseason. Granted, he hasn't had the best start to the Yankees series, but he's hitting the cover off the ball. I think that the Guardians can get a win in game 3, and then it really puts the pressure on the Yankees in game 4. We will find that out. We'll just find that out shortly, tomorrow night. But tonight, you got another game. You got the Mets-Dodgers in New York. You got Severino pitching for the Mets. Walker Buehler on the hill for the Dodgers, who's got over a 10 ERA in the postseason. He has not been the same pitcher. Where are we looking at? Why are the Dodgers favored in this game? Is it because they're favored in the series? Like, help me understand. This looks like a Mets win. You got Severino, who's been basically the ace for the Mets this season. Now, granted, Manet has been their ace recently, but you got Severino, who's been basically their ace this season. You got a hot Mets team, and Walker Buehler has not found a bat in 2 months.
Dodgers need to win tonight. And the reason I say that is a big part of it is the name that you just mentioned. If the Mets can pull off tonight with Severino, go up 2-1, they're going to throw Manet in game 4, and he's going to be tough against all those lefties, mostly Ohtani and Freeman. So that is not a guy you want to face down 2-1.
Quintana is pitching 4. I think you're thinking 5. Quintana's going to pitch 4 versus Yamamoto, and then game 5, it's going to be Manet again, who pitched great, by the way. But
I think that's a mistake, but that's,
Well, Manet's just pitched game 2, so you can't pitch a game 4.
I think the biggest thing with the Mets, they have to kind of not really, like when you get into like modes like this and you're just hot and you're just winning, you don't really think about anything else. You're just like show up at the field, just play, and everything seems to go your way, and every guy gets the big hit every time. The one thing you don't want to do about the Mets is, have like the moment where you like kind of like snap out of it and be like, oh, like what's really going on here? And you start thinking about stuff. That's the last thing you want to do if you're the Mets. Yeah. But listen, I think the Dodgers are favored solely because of that lineup and they're favored to win the series. But that being said, man, I mean their pitching is not in good shape right now. So the Mets, I don't think the Mets have to close it out in New York. They've proven obviously already that they have no problem going to travel and winning games in other stadiums. I think if the Mets leave New York with a 3-2 lead, I think the Dodgers are in a lot of trouble.
Can we talk about? Look, we can talk about the lineup all we want, but Cottrell, can I ask you a question? And it might be a stupid question. It might be crazy to even ask this question, but is there a hitter that you wanted to play more in this series, Dodgers or Mets, than Mark Vientos? Like, the guy is scorched earth. He's batting 400 in the postseason, hit a grand slam in game 2. I know headed into the playoffs, you weren't Betts or Vientos. We're going to go Betts. Ohtani or Vientos. We're going to go but Lindor and Vientos at the top of that Mets lineup. This reminds me of a Carlos Beltran run in New York, the year they went to the Subway Series. He went scorched earth, got himself a huge contract. This postseason, Mark Vientos is just on another world. Is there anybody else you'd rather have at the plate than Mark Vientos?
I mean, numbers wise, obviously, answer has to be no there. But I mean, I think the interesting part about it is that, Frankie has also been like backing him up. He hit one out in game 2 as well.
Yeah.
And I think the interesting part about like this series as a whole is Frankie came in with the injury history. They didn't know if how healthy he was going to be to start the playoffs, things like that. On the flip side of it, with the Dodgers, like obviously, the heavy hitters are Mookie and Shohei, but you would think that like Freddie Freeman is supposed to be like still like that guy, but obviously we know the injury issues that he has right now going on with his ankle, and he just, I mean, granted, he's putting the ball in play and like, getting hits here and there, but he's not looking like the Freddie Freeman, of normal nature that you're used to seeing from him. So, I mean, I think down the line, it may come down to, who can stay the healthiest among the bunch here. I mean, you talk about the Dodgers pitching and how they're in bad shape. Obviously, they don't have a bunch of health there. Yamamoto, like, granted, the closeout game against the Padres, it was great, but you don't really know what you're going to get from him. If you're going to get the last game, if you're going to get the first game in that Padres series from him moving forward. And then on the Mets side of things, their lineup has definitely been hot, but it's a drastic difference from what you saw with the Mets game 1 to game 2. So in a sense, you don't know what you're getting with that Mets offense either. So this series is so like unpredictable in the sense of coming in, I thought Mets being the hot team, they're going to get it done. And, that's just going to be that. It's going to be a great series because of the talent that's in the series. But then I look at this series so similar to how I looked at the Dodgers and Padres series, where it's like, hey, backs against the walls. I don't think the Dodgers are going to have what it takes to get over that hump. But then what do they do in game 5? They go out, do exactly what they need to do. Bullpens lights out, and they win a low scoring affair. So this series is one that I literally can see going either way. And I don't think game 3 is the deciding factor. I think game 4 is going to be the most like pivotal game in the series. I do think the Mets win tonight. I think with the energy of the crowd, the bats are going to, get back home, be hot. Severino, I think, is going to pitch a gem. So I think they win tonight. And I think the Dodgers, you're never okay with the loss, but I think the Dodgers would be okay with that. And then game 4, I think, is going to be the pivotal game in the series.
Well, Yamamoto's pitching game 4, and if they lose the Yamamoto start, they go down 3-1. The series is over. By the way, people in the chat, Jeremy, I promise we will get to the Thanos beatdown of Dallas by Detroit, the loss of Hutchinson, and then the trade deadline. I don't want you to leave you on red. We're talking baseball, but we will get into NFL shortly. Just want to let you know we're seeing your comments. Peter, my Dodgers are missing Vesia this series. Okay. Look, guys, it's the postseason. Teams are going to be missing guys. Don't take it the wrong way. It's not like, the Phillies were missing a guy, or it doesn't matter. It's the postseason. You have the most talented, the highest payroll. I don't want to hear you're missing a guy that's making $800,000 a year. I just don't want to hear it. Doesn't bother me. You have Yamamoto, you have Shohei, you have Mookie, you have Freddie. You have the guys, right? Don't want to hear it. Nothing against you, Peter. I said before the series started, I think we're going to get a reverse Subway series. I got Mets over Yankees. I think they're the team of destiny this year. I really believe that. And I don't know if the Grimace thing ever wears out. I don't know. I think the Mets are a team of destiny.
I also think it's one of the, I mean, it's no different than like football at the end of the year. There's no team that's completely healthy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? You play 162 games. You're the third round into playoffs now for like the Mets. It's nobody's healthy. I mean, everybody's banged up, sore beyond belief. Everybody's got, some kind of mild pool strain. You just go play. There's no sitting down now. So, I think, to get back to your original question, Dean, for me, it's still Frankie. And I think the second half of the season, this started to look like old Cleveland Indians, Frankie Lindor, the guy that, we've all had ranked high on our list, and the guy that we thought New York was going to get when they signed him to that huge deal.
Yeah.
And he's kind of been absent the last 2 years, but all of a sudden now he's even from both sides of the plate too, playing great defense. He is absolutely, I think, the leader of that team, and he's playing like old Frankie, and that's dangerous because old Frank's in baseball.
So, and I don't want to completely get done with baseball. And Alex said the Dodgers versus Yankees is inevitable, which sucks for everyone.
I don't think
that's accurate. And here's the thing I want to point out, right? We talk about the Mets, they're a team that got hot, right? They're the team that got hot. Just want to take a guess, right? I want to ask you guys a question. Who has the best record in baseball since June 1st?
I mean, I know it's not the Dodgers. It might be the Mets.
It's the New York Mets. The Mets have the best record in baseball since June 1st, since the Vientos call-up. I say what you want, but whatever's happening in New York, the grimace pitch, I don't know. Whatever it is, that team is magical right now, and they're making things happen. I'm going Mets over Yankees in the World Series. I'm sticking with that. Judge versus Ohtani is what everyone in the baseball, like all the MLB execs want Judge versus Ohtani. But they want Judge versus Ohtani if Judge is actually hitting.
I mean, the star power. I mean, even if he's not, I mean, it's just so that will be the two faces on the poster. It'll be Ohtani and Judge, and then below them it'll be like
Soto and Betts.
Yeah. So, it's. I'm really torn because I'll be honest. If it's a Subway Series, I honestly could give two shits. I hate both teams. At that point, I think the ratings will be very good in that area. I don't think the ratings will be super high, everywhere else in the country. The Dodgers, Yankees, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, is probably the two teams we thought we were going to get, teams that deserve to be here per se, if you want to go that way. But it is. I definitely don't think it's inevitable. I mean, if you think the Dodgers have that series, sewn up, you're nuts. I mean, it's 1-1. I mean, the Mets already struck first blood in LA. So,
yep.
And yeah, I mean, listen. We say it all the time in sports, man. It's most of the time it's better to be hot and playing great going into the playoffs, not worrying about your seed versus a team that's the one seed, and that if you're not playing well, like you see it in hockey all the time. I mean, we've seen it in football with wild card teams that get in the last week and they're playing great and they win Super Bowls. Like
can you imagine a team that had a 95% chance of being eliminated versus Milwaukee in the ninth inning to start the ninth inning? They were 95% chance of being eliminated. And then a runner gets on, base hit, a walk.
Against a top 5 or 6 closer in the league as well.
And then Pete Alonso goes in what everyone thought could be the last at-bat of Pete Alonso's career as a Met. He goes yard opposite field, and now we are in Game 3 where the Mets could be playing to go to the World Series. Isn't baseball pure?
It's even crazier than that because, I mean, just think about like the week before that happened when it was the Braves and Mets playing a doubleheader to see who ultimately gets in. I mean, we came on the show the week before that all transpired, and we all had the Diamondbacks getting in. Like, we didn't think that the Mets and Braves were both going to get in. Diamondbacks were playing well at that point. We thought they did enough to, be in the playoffs. And we were talking about the Diamondbacks as a team that, outside of the Padres that nobody wanted to see. And here we are, and the Mets made the playoffs. Not only did they make it, but they're still scorching hot, and they're going to give the Dodgers everything they can handle the rest of the series.
I did, for the record, though, I did have the Mets beating the Braves. I had the Mets and Diamondbacks. But with that being said, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, again, we've seen it too many times in other sports. I mean, it's happened in baseball as well. I mean, Arizona went on that miracle run last year.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it to any championship game in any sport in the playoffs if you're not playing well. I don't care what seed you are when you get there. It just doesn't matter. And they're playing good baseball right now.
Completely agree with you. We'll obviously be talking more about it next week. We might be closing in on the World Series depending on how these series play out. It looks like we'll have our World Series matchup. Hopefully, I think Game 1 would be Thursday or Wednesday night. So we'll have a good World Series preview for you next week. Any final thoughts, baseball, before we move on to the NFL?
No, not baseball. No.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about the NFL. We got to recap some things that happened. Before we recap, there was 2 big trades of wide receivers that shocked the league. Maybe not shocked the league. I think a Devontae Adams to the New York Jets was inevitable. We talked about that 2 weeks ago on the show. We all had him going to New York. But Devontae Adams to the New York Jets. The Jets are 2-4. Shally, this is your moment. You got one moment. It's like 8 Mile. Let's hear it. Sound off, brother. Why are the Jets going to win the Super Bowl?
I'm kidding. I mean, listen. I mean, that offense is completely different now. Aaron Rodgers got his way. Devontae Adams got his way. Forced himself out of Vegas. All of a sudden, the hamstring is good to go. I hate that. I'm not a person that doesn't like Devontae Adams, but I mean, at the same time, don't tell me you couldn't be on the field for the last 3 weeks, and all of a sudden you go to New York and you're going to play, and you're going to play Sunday now. So I hate that. I hate everything about that. But the Jets, I mean, listen, I think if you look at the blunders they had, on Monday night, I mean, I know you mentioned they were 2-4. I mean, I think you could make an argument they outplayed Buffalo in that game, but
I hate that Aaron Rodgers went in that press conference and blamed it on Mike Williams. I hate that.
Yeah, I mean,
that bothers me so much.
But again, it's what he does. It's what he does. It's par for the course. You're 100% right.
And it makes it.
He didn't mention the fact that he underthrew the ball. That's why he slipped. He didn't mention that, and he didn't mention the fact that he had Breece Hall standing on the.
He didn't mention why he underthrew the ball. Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, he said he was the red line.
He was supposed to be on the red line. So when I was trying to throw a no-look pass to the red line, and then when I seen where he was, I kind of pulled back. That's why it was underthrown.
Maybe he just dumped it off to Breece Hall and then run for 30 yards because was around him.
And what makes that even worse is that now Mike Williams is not practicing for personal reasons, and the Jets are going to be trading him. That happens, and now he's going to be out the door.
Get him out the door, Rodgers. You cost me an interception.
But it's stuff like this, and then Aaron Rodgers will sit there and be like, I don't understand why people get mad at me. Bro, he's the most least self-aware athlete that I can honestly remember in a long time. And it's crazy because how talented he is physically and how good of a quarterback he is. But I mean, this is just over and over. That's what I mean.
Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, you can't. That's the people that just absolutely stand up for him no matter. I'm like, bro, it's just a pattern of behavior everywhere, and not even just in football, in his personal life. It's just who he is. Just accept it. We don't, we've talked about athletes a million times that people don't like, but they're great athletes. He's a great quarterback. That's fine. But just don't stand up and tell me he's a good person or a good teammate when he's constantly doing stuff like this.
He's a terrible teammate.
So, yeah.
I will say he is a terrible teammate. Guys, listen, I'll get on this show and eat crow anytime I have to eat crow. I eat crow on Kyler Murray being a terrible teammate when I was all over him, and I'll eat crow on Aaron Rodgers. I was one of the ones sticking up for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. They didn't give him a first-round wide receiver, A, B, and C.
Which can still be true.
100%. It still can be true, but still, you got to criticize where you can criticize. And Aaron Rodgers deserves the criticism he's getting. It's now another week. They're 2-4. They have the number 2 defense in football. Why are you 2-4? Why did you lose to the Broncos? Why did you only put up 9 points versus the stinking Broncos? That's not on the defense.
Nope.
That's on Aaron Rodgers. He blamed the rain. Oh, it's windy. Rookie Bo Nix wasn't playing in the same rain?
Well, dude, you played your whole career in Green Bay where you play outside routinely in the worst conditions of any quarterback in the NFL. Stop, dude. That's what I mean. It's been everybody but Aaron Rodgers. Or he'll throw 4 people under the bus and be like, I have to play better too. No, start there. You want to be the captain and be the guy, start there. Don't even mention the other 3 guys. Be like, if I make this throw, and that throw, we win the football game. And stop there. That's what real leaders do. That's not what he does. He never has. He never will. It's not who he is. But listen, they're going to be a dangerous football team now. I mean, Garrett Wilson's still getting 8, 9, 10 catches a game. And he's pretty much double covered every game. You're not going to be able to do that anymore. Not. You're going to have to pick your poison with him and Devontae. And on top of that, it's going to be a lot easier for Breece Hall to run the ball now. So they should recover. And if they don't, then honestly, man, I can't even tell you the wave of bullshit that's coming Aaron Rodgers' way at the end of the season for me.
I did think it was really interesting. I don't know, was it like the same day that Rodgers was on McAfee with Devontae Adams in the background? That's the same day or the next day? Because it felt like it was the same day. Am I missing something?
It
I
was,
felt like this was shit.
It was the same day.
It was the same day because
Yeah.
Devontae Adams was already. So they played. What was that? The night game, was that Monday night or Sunday night?
I thought they played Monday night.
Played Monday night.
Yeah.
He got traded yesterday.
Yeah, he literally got traded on yesterday, and was on McAfee like right after
11 a.m. Trade was released at 10 a.m.
Rodgers did say that
they already knew. Like
he said on McAfee, he did say that he got the call from Woody at midnight, and then Devontae actually texted him at like 12:15 after the game. Like he's like, I barely just got home, and he was like, I knew that the trade was already done. He's like, it just happened so late that like it didn't get out to Schefter and everybody else until the morning.
And then Devontae was literally already on a plane at that point. The trade news broke literally 15 minutes. They're like, Devontae Adams is in the Jets facility. Like,
yeah.
Like, did he sleep there? Like, was he there for the game? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's a little conspicuous to say the least on the minimum side. And then it's even crazier because McAfee was actually the first person who tweeted anything about it. You know, I think his text was like, holy shit, and then eyeballs. And that was like 3 hours before Rappaport or Schefter even had it. So, like, I feel like Devontae Adams was in the air during the Monday night game, and just nobody knew. I really do. Like, he's already, like, he's staying at Aaron Rodgers' house. Like, I feel like he was already there. Like, I really do. And then, like, I knew it was going to happen, too, because I actually watched McAfee. And when he walked in the room, you could see Aaron Rodgers' like eyes move, and he starts smiling. And then, like 10 seconds later, Devontae Adams is on the screen. And I'm like, this is just so on par for him. Like, it's just so contrived, and like it's just whatever. There's nothing he could save. He could cure cancer, and I don't think I would still like him. I don't think there's anything he could do at this point that will make me like him or respect him as a person. Quarterback, fine, but as anything else, I will never, ever, ever root for that guy ever.
It's fair. Do you want to talk about another trade that happened? Cottrell, I want to ask a question. Serious question. Are the Cleveland Browns waving the white flag? Is this the white flag?
No, this is not the white flag. You trade Amari Cooper to get one. You get a third-round pick. You get the same compensation that the Jets got, well, that the Raiders got for trading Devontae Adams. You take that every chance you can. Amari Cooper's in a contract year, and he's not playing good football right now. That's the reality of the situation. This is, and as much as I loved Amari, before this year, Amari was my guy. I texted you guys in the group chat. This was like, what, 110? I don't remember the exact time, but I texted you guys, said, hey, you guys get to see this week firsthand the shit show that we have in Cleveland and how Amari Cooper looks. Right on cue, third and 4, third and 5, drops a drag that would have been an easy first down. And that's just the microcosm of how the season has been. Amari Cooper leads the league in drops right now. He's at 10. I think the next closest person is at 5 or 6. Amari Cooper has not been playing well. And if you're not going to sign him, give him the extension, and that's just what was going to happen. They never planned on giving him the extension. You can get a third-round pick for him, and he's not playing well. I mean, that's a no-brainer decision.
Can I ask a question just to go a little deeper?
Sure.
I got to watch the Browns this past week.
Sure.
4/5 of their offensive line was back.
3/5, but yeah.
They still gave up 5 sacks to a team that can't sack the quarterback. I will say this. Deshaun Watson still is holding the ball way too long. I understand there's definitely sacks that are on the offensive line. I got to really in-depth watch the game twice now. Deshaun Watson's a bad quarterback. I'm sorry. He's a bad quarterback. If you couldn't come out of that game realizing he's a bad quarterback, you like literally, what's the disease called? CWS? Like, you have it, bro. You have it. If I were a Browns fan right now, I would say, Jameis Winston, save our season. Because Chubb's coming back this week. He's going to play Sunday.
Is he definitely playing?
Oh, yes. He's good. He's ready to rock and roll.
I think he's going to be limited touches, but yeah.
It's time. It's time to let go of Deshaun Watson. He's not the guy.
Out of curiosity, though, from you watching that game, because I know you had a chance to watch it now.
100%.
What in that game said that he's not that guy? Like, was it? I mean, he damn near completed every pass.
He can't anticipate throws. No. He can't anticipate throws, and he holds the ball on way too long. His escapability that he has, that they used to have at Houston, is just not there. And look, after the Carson Wentz injury, what made him so good in 2017 was the Houdini act, right? Like a guy would hit him, he'd roll off and throw a 70-yard touchdown. Like it was like, oh my God. Like they had 7 guys on top of him. He comes out of the pile and he's running down this. I'm like, oh, look at this guy throwing the ball from his knees, 40 yards in the air on a dime. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. Tears his ACL. Not the same guy. Just call it like it is. Not the same guy. Deshaun Watson, I know you've already said he's not the same guy as he was in Houston.
Yeah.
But he holds the ball way too long. His escapability is not there. And if we're being completely honest, right, his accuracy is good in a clean pocket. I'm okay with that. But he doesn't anticipate the throw. And he has to see it. And if you watch that game, he's not throwing the route open. He's waiting for the receiver to come open to throw the football. If that's trust in the wide receivers, that's on them. I don't know. But Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, you got enough guys in that room that you should be able to trust your receiver to be at a spot that he needs to be at.
And I think to that point, that is 100% why I think that Amari Cooper trade also happened.
Okay.
I think that's a big part. I don't think Deshaun, honestly, I don't know if he trusts anyone on the roster right now, anyone on the offense. Not saying it's justified, not saying that that's the right thing for him, like where he's at right now. But
when you pay a quarterback that much money, he's got to be a leader, Cottrell. And if no one, you don't trust anyone in the locker room, like that's his fault for leading.
And again, that's my perspective. Like that's what I think is the case. Like I don't know for sure if that's how it's going down in the locker room, but I'm saying like I think he's gotten beat up so much from taking a lot of sacks. I don't think he trusts anybody on the line. The Browns lead the league right now in drop passes. I don't think he trusts a lot of the receivers, and I think that's a big part of why he's not throwing the ball on time. Now, granted, that's not to take the blame away from him. He still has to do it. You have to make throws on time. A couple weeks ago, the Raiders game, we saw he made the throw on time to Amari Cooper and hit him right in the face mask, and it turned into an interception. But as people that watch the game,
that wasn't a tough throw. He was wide open.
But I'm saying though, if that is what you need to do as a quarterback, like now he may see that throw and be like, "Hey, well, I know he's not going to catch it. I'm not throwing him the football there." And I'm not saying that's not the right thing to do, but I'm saying that would make sense. That would make sense of why he's not just firing the ball out every time, he's anticipating something.
It's fair.
If you don't have trust in your players, you're not going to throw things on time and things like that. Prime example, a much better quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't trust Mike Williams.
No.
Nothing that Aaron Rodgers and Mike Williams do is on time. But he can have a great connection with Alan Lazard because they've played together for as long as they have. But Mike Williams, we saw the Stephon Gilmore interception 2 weeks ago. We obviously saw what happened on Monday night against the Bills. So you got to figure it out. That is the moral of the story. But I don't know how you can watch that game and think that the Browns would be better with Jameis Winston in the game.
I look at it this way. I'm not going to go as far. I said what I said last week, and I and what Gene just brought back up. You agreed to it. He's not the same guy he was in Houston. I still think he's way better of a player and much more capable of playing better than what he's playing right now. I don't think he sucks. I don't think that. Like I think he's playing awful right now. But that being said, I agree with Gene to the other point. Like I see him like every time they show him on the sideline or like I don't see leadership from him. I don't see a spark. I don't see the guy being like, hey, that drive's on me. Like next one, like let's go. He just sits there and then he goes back in the game. And I don't know, maybe there is a locker room rift that like just hasn't come out yet. Like maybe there's guys in that locker room that have an issue with his past. I don't know. I'm literally just throwing it out there.
Okay.
There's something There's something missing from him. You just don't go from the guy that was getting MVP votes and literally carrying a franchise on his shoulders, and a guy that was playing with so much freedom and fun and love of the game, and throwing the ball 50 yards on the run to what he is right now. Like there's something wrong. There's something missing somewhere. I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's a locker room issue. I don't know if he's not getting along with Stefanski. I don't know what it is. That is not the same guy. It's just not.
Charlie, I promise you this. And Control, I promise you this. They're going to make a move, and it might be this week, it might be next week, it might be the following week, to Jameis Winston, and then offense is miraculously going to look better, and we're all going to be like, what happened? I promise you that's going to happen this year.
The only thing
won't happen. I don't know how you can look at that and think that's the case.
Jameis has proven that he can kind of be that guy, though, and if anything, Jameis is going to get on the field and play with that like attitude, that excitement. He's going to make some bad throws. Don't get me wrong, but he's going to have a. Here's the word for me. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I watched the game live and then rewatched, obviously, the all 22 stuff. That offense has zero urgency with him as quarterback. Zero, like none. When I watch them, they're lethargic. They're like, okay, break. Like there's nothing, dude. There's no spark. There's nothing. And then I watch their defense come on the field, and Myles Garrett is literally trying to kill himself to make plays, and they're keeping the team in the game. And then they get the ball back. It's like, all right, break. And there's nothing there. There's no heart. There's no soul. There's nothing there. At some point, if you're not going to wave the white flag, I don't know how far into this we're going to get before you're just like, all right, this season is just done. Like what do you do? Like, you can't think you're going to go 1-7 and win 10 games in a row in the NFL to get back in the playoff hunt. That's not going to happen. Yeah. Like, at what point do you go to Winston and just be like, let's see if it's better? And I don't disagree with what you said earlier about dropping back and be like, I made that throw perfect 3 times. He dropped one hit off his face and it was intercepted. And, I understand that's frustration as a quarterback, but it's no different than any other sport. Like, if you're a quarterback, like, you got to have a short memory. You got to keep firing. And I think some of the frustration from the other side of that is, I think Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy have complaints to Gene's point. Hey, I'm running these routes and I'm open in that window that if he throws the ball when he's supposed to, I'll be there to catch it. And it's not happening. And now I think you add all that together and throw it in a bowl, and I think you have what you have now. Right, I think with Chubb coming back, I don't know if you give Deshaun one more week, but at some point, dude, because if not, you're just gonna have guys being like, "Yo, like, is Myles Garrett gonna go kill himself for if you guys are 1-8?" Because if that point, that's when you're gonna start getting the whole my knee's sore. I don't want to play this week.
Which I understand, but if that's the route though, Jameis Winston would never play meaningful snaps in Cleveland. Like, even if like Deshaun plays bad, like, I don't think Jameis is the guy you go to. He's on a 1-year deal. That's not going to be the future of your team. If Deshaun keeps playing bad, I think in all honesty, I think the front office would say, hey, we got our first round picks back. We're going to keep throwing Deshaun out there. We're going to see what we have with him. If this is a team that ultimately he plays the whole season, they get a top 5 pick, they're going to say, hey, we got to take a quarterback. Quarterback is going to be at the top of our list here. We know we overpaid the guy. Like, there's nothing we can do about it now, but we can't compound the mistake here.
Money control.
I understand that, but if you're gonna sit him for Jameis, you still owe him the money. He's still
so they got to trade his contract and give a first-round draft pick up.
There's absolutely no way in hell that they would ever do that. They would rather pay him than.
Yeah, I don't mean to be an ass either, but who's taking that?
No, it would be a first round. It would be a first round pick. It'd be a first round pick.
Take his contract.
No one. The Browns aren't giving up a top 5, top 10.
No. You would do a 2026 first. You would use your 2025 first on a quarterback.
Nobody's doing that.
Because you still have to pay him.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah, you do. If you trade him after the season and you give up a pick, you're still on the hook for like $42 million.
Any guaranteed money he had, they would have to pay.
But that's still
they would be dead money of $45 million versus $140 million if they keep him on the books. It's a big difference, bro. If they give up a 2026 first and they draft a quarterback in 2025, their start, and you take that $40 million dead cap hit and you restart. That's what they have to do. They have to do it, bro. They have to do it.
You keep him on the rod, even if he sits and rots. You don't trade a first round pick. You don't compound the mistake there. But
you want to pay $40 million once or $40 million 3 times?
Well, he's only
the only difference at that point, though, is that if that is the route they're going to go, it allows them to pick Shador or Quinn or whoever and let them sit for a year and not throw them out and get killed. And at that point, Deshaun is just you get murdered. We don't care. Like,
exactly. that is the move at that point.
That's the way you're going to have to do it.
Okay. I think one of the interesting things is, I know we got to talk some games here. One quick point that I just want to bring up. Deshaun's not the only quarterback getting paid $200+ million and is one in 5 at this point in the year.
Oh, you're not going to bring the other one up. He had 4 drop.
I don't care.
Passes.
I don't want to hear. So now we talk about drops. Now we're talking about drops. What
4 drops?
I don't want any of the
Browns lead the NFL in drops.
I don't want to hear drop passes. I don't want to hear bad coaching, and I don't want to hear bad defense. Literally, none of the 3 of them mattered. With the other guy, none of the 3 of them matter.
Exactly. We have not talked about it at all. It is the exact same thing.
Bro, I shared the video because I didn't think it was believable. I'm like, this is
2 of the dropped touchdown passes when they were already down 30.
4 dropped touchdown passes.
They were literally down 25 before, like when 2 of them happened.
He was 26 of 35 with 4 dropped touchdown passes.
Gotta win games, bro.
30 of 35.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've never heard you talk about one Deshaun Watson one drop. So
I did. I talked about the one versus the Raiders, 100%.
Okay.
Don't lie.
I haven't heard you talk about 2. You definitely haven't gotten to 4. You haven't gotten to 4 with Deshaun. That's a fact.
All right, guys, we got to preview 3 games. 3 massive games this week in the NFL. Houston at Green Bay is the first one, and honestly, out of the 3, this is crazy that it's probably third. Houston at Green Bay. It's a great football game. How do you guys see it?
It is crazy that it's third, but I feel like it might not end up being third when the games are over. Listen, 2 great young quarterbacks are going to go at it. Lambeau Field. Everything you'd want in a game is going to be here. Jordan Love, winning with those guys that Aaron Rodgers couldn't, and C.J. Stroud being C.J. Stroud. It continues to look like he's going to be a guy that's going to win probably, an MVP here and there and a Super Bowl. Houston is finally playing Houston football like we thought they were going to be. Got a little bit of a slow start, but they're starting to hum a little bit. And Green Bay, NFC North is turning into a goddamn
Green Bay's in last place with a 4-2 record.
4-2, yeah. That division is going to be a banger coming down the stretch.
Oh man,
it is. I'm excited to watch it. Honestly, I think it's going to live up to the hype. I think it's going to be everything that we think it's going to be. I expect both of those kids to show up and play very well. I think Houston. I think this is kind of be a game that Houston will miss Nico a little bit, but I think they'll still be able to have success against Green Bay, moving the ball through the air and running. And I think Jordan Love's going to go out there and air it out because that's what he's been doing. Very excited to watch the game. I will say Green Bay squeaks one out at home, kind of just another mystique of Lambeau type win. But I think it's like a 27-24, 31-27 type game somewhere in there. I think Green Bay wins.
Green Bay's a better football team. Green Bay wins this football game because they're a better football team. No Nico Collins makes them a better football team. Now, you add Nico Collins back to the Houston Texans. I don't know if Green Bay's a better football team. But right now, as we stand, health included, Green Bay's a better football team. I'm taking the Packers. I think they win this game by 7. I'll take the Packers 27-20.
I am rolling with the Texans in this one. I'm rolling with the Texans because I think the Texans are the better football team. Even without Nico Collins, I still think the Texans are the better football team. Just the talent alone. I think the Texans can compete with almost anyone in the league. Their offense is up there. Joe Mixon will be back as well this week, and I think that's a big that'll be a big factor for that Texans team as well. Obviously, it's going to be tough not having Nico, but you still have Tank Dell and you have Stephon Diggs. Like, I don't think obviously the connection aspect of it will be different without Nico being there, but you don't lack talent in that department. And so I think CJ will still be able to air it out. I still think he trusts, both those guys to make their plays. And I just think that Houston will be able to run the ball against Green Bay, and they're going to find a way to win the football game on the road. So I do think it'll be a tight game, but ultimately I like Houston. I'd say like 30-27 walk-off field goal. Fairbairn kicking a long one to win the game.
We got to talk about this next team. Jeremy's going to be happy. His Detroit Lions, they have a huge game at Minnesota this week. Minnesota undefeated. The Lions coming off, an absolute drubbing of the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, listen, there's nothing that makes me more happier on a Sunday outside of an Eagles win than watching the Dallas Cowboys get absolutely destroyed. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions losing star defensive end Aiden Hutchinson for hopefully just a year. Hopefully it's just a year. It looked bad. It was a compound fracture, complete tear of the leg. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be out for a long time, but this Detroit Lions team was literally having fun. They were laughing at the Dallas Cowboys. They even trolled them with the Dan Skipper play. They trolled them. They ran the same play. It's just so ridiculous. They're running trick plays to Laporte on the sideline. They absolutely destroyed Dallas this week. They're going to go at Minnesota coming off a bye and take on one of the best defenses in football, which no one would thought before the season, the Minnesota Vikings and my friend Brian Flores. How do you see this game going?
I think Detroit's going to win the game. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game because I think Detroit's actually playing well defensively too. Obviously, losing Hutch is going to put a dent in that a little bit, but they've. I mean, if you go just off eye test, they've looked like one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the league the last couple of weeks. To go into Dallas and like you said, I mean, I don't think drubbing is even a strong enough word for what happened in that game. To your point, yeah, I mean, they're like you said. I mean, I feel like they were on the sideline, like old school, like drawing pictures on the ground, like, hey, we're going to do this and see if it works. And they just went out and they were just running whatever the hell they wanted to run. That being said, I think it's a little. I think I'm a little bit concerned because, to Gene's point, Flores having 2 weeks to pretty much game plan for this game worries me a little bit. But I think we also saw Darnold's kind of first bad game before the break, and they got away with it and still won the game. But listen, I think I'm happy for the kid. He's had a really, crazy start to the season. I think he's going to come back down to earth a little bit. Detroit's defense, I think, is going to be capable of still putting him in a couple positions where, he maybe turns the ball over a time or two. Aaron Jones, I think, is going to be a game time decision. I'm not sure, what his health really is.
Guy in practice on Thursday, it looks like he's going to play. I mean, all indicators look like he's going to play this week.
They did. They went and traded for Cam Akers though today, to kind of have a backup plan there because I think maybe it's a situation where he plays. I don't think he's going to be able to carry the ball 20, 22, 25 type times like he has earlier in the season. So they traded for Cam Akers and brought him back where he started this year, kind of as an emergency backup there. But that being said, like I said, I think it's a lower scoring game, but I think Detroit is playing with a ton of confidence right now. You saw that against Dallas. I think they go into Minnesota. I think they give Minnesota their first loss.
I'm rolling with Detroit as well. I think that the way that they have it clicking offensively, Jameson Williams has been a superstar for Detroit so far early on in this year. Obviously, Dallas game was a good game to get Sam Laporta going. We saw the trick play open that up. And, I mean, you talk about Flores basically having 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I mean, the way that Cowboys game looked, I mean, really – Dan Campbell could have stopped coaching at halftime and they would have been perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I get it. Numbers wise, it's different completely, giving the guys a week off and things like that. But I think that is the kind of win to really bring a team together. Like you talk about a team having all the confidence in the world. I mean, hell, they ran a hook and lateral to Panay Sewell. Like that's next level nuts.
They were
Because
just really just rubbing it in.
If Panay gets
felt-
hurt there, Dan Campbell looks like an absolute moron. Like, so I mean, they were just having fun, having their way with him, and you could tell they never took their foot off the gas. And that's what you want from a championship level team. You want them to keep putting it on the team until they basically wave the white flag and give up on you. And I think this is a game where, with the Aiden injury, obviously it's awful. Wish him the best moving forward. But I think that this is a team that will rally around that. And this is a game where, they may say, hey, we want to win this one for Aiden. We know he's going to be watching. We know he'd want to have an impact on this game. I think this is a game where the guys can get around each other and really put one together and get it done. So do you think it may be a little bit lower scoring here? But ultimately, I like the Lions to win, and I like them to win rather comfy. I think this is a game where you see Darnold come back down to earth a bit. I'd say like 27-17.
Every time I pick against the Minnesota Vikings, I'm going to do it again because I think the Detroit Lions are a better football team. But every time I pick against the Minnesota Vikings this year, they just show up differently, and they consistently keep showing up. So Vikings fans, you should be happy I'm picking the Lions. You guys knew I picked the Lions to go to the Super Bowl before the season started. I've been on the Lions for a while. I think their toughness, their depth is huge. This is a tough game to win. I think the Lions are the better football team. I think eventually that Minnesota roster has to come down to earth. I think the worst thing for the Vikings was the bye week. Going 5-0, they're rolling, they're clicking on all cylinders. You want to get back on the field as fast as you can. But we'll see how it plays out. I'll take the Lions in this one. 21-20.
I think that's what's going to be like 21-20, 2017. I think it's somewhere around there.
All right, next one we got to cover is a rematch of the Super Bowl. It's the game of the week. It's 4:00 start. Kansas City is going to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. 49ers are a 1.5-point favorite in this football game. No CMC still.
That's not till the week after the bye week, it looks like.
And, the Chiefs were on a bye week too, right?
No, I'm saying San Fran's bye week is after this game. There are a lot of people thought maybe he's going to play this week, but he's not going to play. They'll have the bye week, and then I think you'll see him the rest of the year.
Andy Reid is very good off the bye. I don't know why this spread is 1.5, and it really tricks me. It's one of those things where I just don't quite understand it. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs coming off the bye. I won't make it as my pick 'em because I don't understand the spread. But you have an undefeated team taking on a 3-3 team. The undefeated team's coming off the bye week and winning the Super Bowl, and they're not favored in the football game. What am I missing?
I mean, I think you're missing that Kansas City's offense is really just kind of a put it together week by week basis. Obviously, you lose Rashee Rice, and we saw what the offense looked like the game against New Orleans on Monday night before the bye. I mean, Kareem Hunt, he looked good while he was in there, but this isn't just your run-of-the-mill defense. I mean, the 49ers have, talent all around, and then on the flip side of it, 49ers have a really good offense. So I get it. 3-3 looks bad, but we know the 49ers are better than that. We're not expecting that to be the norm for them. Like we all still think that this is a team that's going to go to the playoffs and compete for a Super Bowl this year. But with all of that said, I'm still rolling with the Chiefs. I mean, I can't go against Patrick Mahomes. I think this game is going to be tight. I actually think this has potential to be like a super dud, like in the sense of I feel like people are expecting it to be higher scoring, coming off the bye, like they're going to have a great game plan, things like that. But I kind of see it being a 17-16 kind of game, just ugly teams getting off the field. They're getting stops and things like that. And you may have a couple explosive plays here and there, but at the end of the day, you got Patrick Mahomes on one side of the field. If he has the ball in his hands at the end of the game, you can almost book it that he's leading his team down and kick a walk-off field goal or scoring a touchdown. So I like the Chiefs. I like them to win by one, though.
Real quick, Shai, before you go, I just want to point something out. I think you might even get to this. The 49ers are not the same team they were last year. Nick Sorensen is their defensive coordinator, and that defense does not look the same. Now, on top of Nick Sorensen being their defensive coordinator and that defense not look the same, they're playing without Dre Greenlaw. They're playing without Javon Hargrave. Their offensive line is a shell of what it was. It's Trent Williams and a bunch of guys. I don't think this 49ers team is anywhere near as good as what they were last year. I think that, and by the way, Steve Wilkes was the scapegoat last year. Scapegoated him. Nick Sorensen's been terrible for them.
I think Nick Sorensen's gotten off the hook because of all the injuries you just mentioned. And I mean, listen, they're 3-3. They have a couple weird losses. I would say. I think one game they just soundly got beat. The other two was just kind of weird stuff happened down the stretch. They're missing debatably the best offensive weapon in the game.
Yeah.
Which is huge as well. Takes a lot of pressure off a lot of people. I think Debo missed a game. Kittle missed a game. I mean, they've been banged up across the board, to be honest. They're going to get healthy. They're going to get right. I think they're there at the end, or they're in the conversation at the end anyway, once they get everybody back on the field. That being said, I don't think they win Sunday. I like Kansas City 24, San Francisco 20. CMC, you mentioned, has already been ruled out. They're going to wait till week 8 when he comes back. Mason is banged up. I don't think he's going to play. He's got a hurt shoulder. I think unfortunately for that kid, I think they're going to shoot him up and try to throw him out there. But if not, I could even name you their third string running back. But that's probably who's going to play the majority of the game.
Isaac Garendo. Pick him up on your fantasy team.
I'm good. It is. I think it's going to be a tough day for San Fran. I still think it's a good football game with them being home. But like you said, I mean, we've seen it when Andy was here, and since he's been Kansas City, it's been the same way. He's very, very good off the bye. Steve Spagnuolo has had a great year being in DC and coming up with game plans for every team they play this year. And it's kind of I would actually say the trend in a weird way is kind of reversed in KC, where it was kind of play bend but don't break defense, and just we get Patrick Mahomes the ball enough, the offense will just keep scoring points. And now it's kind of they're scoring points when they can, and the defense is actually kind of controlling and really contributing to winning football games. So I think Kansas City is going to be too much defensively rested coming off a bye. I like them 24-20.
We're going to do trivia. Trivia is coming right now. I do have one more NFL topic that I want to get into after trivia, because it's a discussion piece, and then we'll get into NCAA football. But let's get into NFL Pick'em. We'll do trivia, and then I want to end on a weird topic has to do with neither this week's. It has to do with this week's games, but let's get into Pick'em. Cottrell, you're running the show. Show us where we're going.
All right. Well, I will continue to lead off because that's been working for me. Go Bill in the middle. Gene, you can round it out there.
All righty. Lead us off.
All right. So my first game this week starts off on Thursday night. I like the Saints plus 2.5 at home versus the Broncos. I think this is the Sean Payton revenge game per se for Dennis Allen. I get it. You have Rattler in there, and Saints offense is obviously not look the same as it has the first couple weeks there. But I think this is a Broncos team that they rolled out Pat Surtain already. So I do think that Saints will have an opportunity to take some deep shots there. If they take the training wheels off of Spencer Rattler, you still got Chris Olave there. I know Shaheed hasn't practiced.
Not playing.
Olave's not going to play.
He's not playing in the game.
Olave's not playing. Shaheed's not playing.
I know Shaheed's not playing, but did not see Olave got ruled out.
Olave's doubtful, and he hasn't practiced. So I highly doubt he plays tomorrow night.
All right. Well, I'll look into that. If I have to switch my pick there, I might. I knew Shaheed was out. Still would think that the Saints can take shots over the field, but if Olave's not playing, that does change some things there.
I will tell you this: I was going to pick this game, and then when I went into all that and saw who wasn't playing, is the reason I came off the game.
Same. I'm with you.
Second game that I feel like this is, Gene, you were 2 weeks too early. I think this is your stone cold lead pipe lock of the year. The Jets minus 1.5 at the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're going to take take the Jets any week. This is the week to do it. Steelers basically already came out and said, hey, we're pulling the plug on our 4-2 starter, Justin Fields, and we're going to throw Russell Wilson into the fire. The Jets, they get this huge morale boost getting Devontae Adams in the building. Aaron Rodgers is going to go out there and play free and happy as can be. I think they put it on the Steelers in that one in Pittsburgh. And then the last game I like the over 47.5 in the game with the rookie phenoms, the Chicago Bears at the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels is basically showing you every week so far in the NFL that he can put up 30 against any defense he wants to. And with the Chicago Bears, the way that their offense has been looking as of late, they're starting to put things together and put points up on the board. I think this has an opportunity to be one of the most exciting games of the weekend here, and I love the over 47.5.
What game are we talking about?
Huh?
They don't play this week, bro.
Who?
Washington versus Chicago. That's not a game this week.
Trout.
A week early?
Yeah, you're a week early. It's next week.
Oh, okay. I got to give you 2 more picks then. I'll give you 2 more picks on the page.
Bro, he's saying that. I'm like checking the schedule. I'm like, they play Carolina this week.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I don't remember seeing that game.
I would love to talk about that game.
I wasn't going to say anything because I wasn't sure.
They got flex next week to 4:00. That's probably why. And the spread's already out.
I did see that they got the 4:00 game, and I did see the spread on it. So yeah, I'll throw you two fresh ones on the page. The Jets though, lead pipe lock. Go ahead and throw that in now.
All righty. Shal, you're up. Sorry, Cottrell. I did not mean to correct you twice.
just shit all over Cottrell's picks.
Olave out. One game is not playing this week.
I'll be honest, because that was literally the first game at the top of the page too. I was like, is that for real? Like, and then I looked at it, I was like, oh, he's not playing. He's not playing. Rattler's playing again. I was like, nah, I'm off this game now. I'm not kidding. I had the same thought. I was like, that.
I was fine with Rattler playing. I fully think.
If he had those 2 guys to throw the ball to, yeah. But I'm going to start with one of the games Cottrell mentioned. New York Jets -1.5. It is what it is. I don't like calling things locks because I feel like jinxing it. But I mean, like, if you're going to bet some money on a game, that's probably the one to do it on. I don't know what Justin Fields has done to anybody in the NFL to just continue to be dicked over. I don't know who he hurt. I don't know who he touched. I don't know. I don't know whose wife he banged. I just don't know. I don't know. 4-2 with an anemic offense and a great defense. And he's, again, kind of done a lot of it, on his own. And 4-2, nope, throw him on the bench. Russell Wilson's going to look like a buffoon on Sunday. I'm just telling you it's going to happen. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers is going to walk around that field Sunday with a shit-eating grin on his face. He's got Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. And that defense is going to eat against Russell Wilson. Give me the Jets -1.5. Second game, we already talked about Detroit +3.5 at Minnesota. I'm going with Detroit. I think they win the football game outright, like I already predicted. But if not, I do think it's a very close football game. I will take +2.5. Sorry, +2.5. And I will I'll take the points to be happy. Last but not least, Seattle at Atlanta. Seattle crossing the country once again. Atlanta -3. Last couple weeks, finally got the offense going. They look great. Seattle's won 3 games. They've lost 3 in a row. They beat 3 bad football teams. The good teams they've played, they've lost every game. I'll take Atlanta at home in that dome, in front of that crowd, -3. Give me the Falcons.
Well, we're going to repeat some picks this week, and that's kind of where we're at. It is what it is. I have the Atlanta Falcons -3 versus the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's coming across the country. Atlanta's playing great. Give me the Falcons -3 there. I like that pick. I'm going to go to the well another time and probably lose another game. I never understand how 80% of the money is on the New England Patriots +5.5. Give me the Jaguars in London -5.5. They're staying in London over the New England Patriots. I'm good, bro. I'll be with 14% of the public. I watched another Jacksonville game in which 4 touchdowns were dropped, which is insanity to me. I think they get it together this week in London. I'll take the -5.5 over the New England Patriots and Drake May. And then for the last game, all 3 of us are on the same game. You can bet Pittsburgh, Alex. I'm taking the Jets -1.5 at Pittsburgh. What the hell is Pittsburgh thinking? They're 4-2. I'm just going to change quarterbacks. I've never seen it. I've never seen anything like it. Give me the Jets -1.5.
And it would be different if your incumbent was like Patrick Mahomes, like fresh off of ACL surgery from the year before or something like that. Like Russell Wilson stunk last year. You brought him in as like a kind of prove it kind of thing. And you brought in Justin Fields, and you have no strings attached to either one of them. Justin Fields might be your future. And you say, hey, we're going to just give the job to Russ. He clearly hasn't earned anything. He's just been playing dress up on the sidelines, inactive every week in full shoulder pads, full uniform. But what can you do?
Well, if you guys don't know, it's a little bit late, but it's trivia time. 8 o'clock, we do trivia each week. This week, it's Cottrell giving trivia. The scoreboard is up, 11-7-3. That's where we're at.
Excuse me.
Cottrell's got the trivia question this week. I'm turning the chat off. There we go. It's off.
He said it's a good one. I'm curious.
I'm fired up. I'm always fired. I'm EA Sports. Now, I will get emotional if I lose.
So it's only fitting that Gene gave us the introduction that he did at the beginning of the show, because that's where we're going. We're going to the Federation.
Oh, boy.
I want top 10 WWE wrestlers, the most wins in history.
Jeez.
WWE.
Wow.
This counts not just singles match, tag team, everything together, but this is in their WWE stint.
Okay. Top 10. Got it.
Ever.
Yep.
Ever.
Oh, my God.
I mean,
some of these guys got to be old, though, man.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, I'll go. Trying to think which low-hanging fruit I can go with here.
There's at least 3 low-hanging fruit.
I know. I'm trying to. I'll go Bob Backlund.
Not on
really.
the list.
That was the low-hanging fruit you went with?
I mean, he's the longest title reign in the history of the company.
All right. Well, the time is up. Your time is up. The time is now. You can't see me. The time is now. Give me John Cena.
John Cena is number 3, 1,786 wins.
So we're going this. Yeah, it's more now. I'll go Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels is at number 9, 1,433.
I'll take the other low-hanging fruit off the board. Give me the guy with the longest WrestleMania streak of all time. Give me The Undertaker.
The Undertaker is number 2, 1,836.
Who's 1?
I'll go Hogan.
Hulk Hogan is number 5 at 1,574.
All right. I'll go with my favorite wrestler of all time. He was there for a while. Give me Bret the Hitman Hart.
Bret the Hitman Hart is number 1 on this list at 1,882.
What? I never thought he'd be number 1, but okay. Your time is up. My time is now. You can't see me.
I'll go with Randy Orton.
Oh, it's a great one.
Randy Orton is at number 11.
What?
Number
He's
11.
not top 10?
Number 11.
Oh, I would never got that. I 100% thought Randy Orton was on this list.
Same.
Shit. All right. So let me ask you a question real quick. If they changed names, does that count? So is there a guy that was by multiple names? I feel like I'm asking a question.
No.
Like, is Mankind loved Cactus Jet? Let me not get that right now. Let me not give that as a guess. Give me the Big Red Machine, Corporate Kane.
Kane is at number 6, 1,563.
Okay. So I'm up 2 now.
Yeah, it's 4-2.
Okay.
The
other one's still probably a good guess.
Number 10 is damn near impossible.
Jesus Christ.
It's not impossible. Like, it's definitely a guy like you both know, but like I wouldn't have guessed this guy with a million guesses.
Okay.
Trying to think of newer guys that have been around long enough to have wins like that.
No, it's a dumb question. I can't answer that. Well, before Shally goes, can I ask, is there any females on the list?
No.
Okay. Shally, I just trying to help you, Shally.
I wasn't going there anyway. I'm trying to think who had really long title reigns. Roman just doesn't wrestle enough.
That's exactly where my head's at. There's 3 guys I can say that I just don't think they wrestle enough.
Going over. Who did Macho Man wrestle in that thing? I will go. I mean, he had the IC belt for like 4 years. I'll go Tito Santana.
Tito Santana is at number 4, 1783.
Holy shit. All right.
He had like a 4-year feud with Macho Man, dude.
No, I get it. I feel like that I have to go with. I feel like this guy's got to be on the list, man. I'm gonna go with what I said earlier, and I'll probably be wrong, but give me the mixture of Mankind, Dude Love, Cactus Jack.
Mick Foley is not on the list.
What? The Rock and Sock Connection, tag team, everything.
So there's 3 left.
There are, let's see, you got number 7, number 8, and number 10. I can go hint after Gene. I'll go hint after Gene's next turn.
Okay.
This is. I guess I can ask this because we're on the same turn, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Do you know if, like, since WWE technically owns WCW now, like, are there wins combined?
WWE.
See, that's not answering.
So he's saying no WCW wins. That's exactly what he's saying. I can read it.
WWE.
Yep. I have 2 guesses lined up right now, and I think both of them will be on this list. I'm almost sure I have 1.
I'm gonna go with 1 anyway, because I don't think he lost like the first 3 years he was in the promotion. I'm going with Big Show.
Well, that was one of my 2.
The Big Show, number 8, 1443.
Okay, so I'm going to go with somebody that's still active. The guy's been wrestling for about 35 years. Give me the Hall of Famer himself, Rey Mysterio.
Who's that jumping out the sky? R-E-Y Mysterio, number 7.
I knew it. Let's go.
58.
So 5-4 now? So we only have 10 left?
5-4. And I don't think you guys are going to get 10. But
I actually think I know 10 because I vaguely remember hearing this, and I just don't know if it's right. And Gene kind of, in a weird way, kind of like made me remember it by saying something he said. Because he's also been there for literally like 20 years. I'm going to go with Kofi.
That's it?
Kofi Kingston is number 12 at 1274.
I thought it would definitely be Kofi. That's a great guess. Where are we at? Are we going to keep guessing? You said 10's almost impossible. What are we doing?
Well, it's 5-4.
I mean, you got.
I guess if you after this, I guess he can give hints once you take your turn.
Okay. But what happens if we tie?
Then I guess we go next week again. Or I don't know how you would do the tiebreaker. I mean,
yeah, because you guys have already named off 11, 12.
I was saying I got 11 and 12 by myself.
All right, screw it. I'll go. I think that the Road Warriors had a lot of wins, and Hulk had a single career. Give me Hulk from the Road Warriors.
Not on the list.
I'm trying to think outside the box.
Dude, trust me, I get it.
He's not even on the list.
I only have the top 15. He's not in the top 15.
All right, that's fair. Let's say that then. Say not top 15. Not on the list makes me feel like I didn't get a top 50 wrestler. And I know I can eliminate like names like The Rock and Stone Cold and stuff like that because he said it's out of the box.
Yeah.
So I've eliminated them already.
I guess. Are you giving a hint or we just keep going? What are we doing?
I mean, with it only being one guy left and it's 5-4, I feel like it wouldn't be right to give you a hint. I feel like we should go probably 2 more guesses each and probably call it, especially given time.
That's fair.
All right, well, then I'm going to go. There's no way. Where did you say Bob Backlund's not even on the list?
Not in the top 15.
I'm going Bruno then. I mean, it's literally the only other guy that I can think that it can be.
Not in the top 15.
There's no fucking way.
Well,
he had a belt for a decade. This list is fugazi.
I'll go with shit. I feel like that I'm running out of guesses.
Everybody is.
You know what? Give me Mike the Miz.
That's a good one.
The Miz is a great answer. Not on the list.
I feel like he's been a heel and just lost too much.
He loses so many games. Like the Miz, Sami Zayn, a lot of those guys just they fight every week. Oh, I just gave myself a guess. Not Sammy, but
Edge.
That's a good answer. Not on the list, but that is a
14 years tag team champion for like the last 3 years. Give me main event Jey Uso.
No way.
Jey Uso is not on the list.
Okay. You said tag team wins combined.
I did say that. That I did say.
Is that it?
So are we? Yeah, I think that should be it.
Are we doing the hint or not?
What?
Are we doing the hint or not?
No, it's a no hint. It's 5-4.
Joey's just.
I'll win by hook or crook.
We know.
I feel like on the last one we don't really go hint if it's one apart.
The fact that you said nobody's going to get it, I mean, it can't be anybody like recent then.
Correct. Well,
it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Jey Uso's been tag team champion for a while.
I get it. I mean, I'm thinking about like even other guys like Finn's won like a gazillion matches.
That's a great guess. Is that it? Do you want to? Are we done?
I'll go with Finn. I don't think that's it though.
Finn Balor. That might be it.
Not Finn.
No, yeah.
Okay. I give up. I'm done.
Matt Hardy, number 10.
Oh, what the fuck?
Matt Hardy?
Matt Hardy.
From the Hardy Boys?
From the Hardy Boys.
I would never have got that. We were just sitting here guessing air. No chance I get that.
I would have guessed Jeff before Matt.
So would I. I would have guessed Jeff before Matt.
But you also got to think though with Jeff is he was out in rehab and getting suspended from the WWE.
But Jeff
had his own
I get it, but
stuff going on.
Jeff was also WWE champion a couple times.
Oh
I mean he went on some crazy runs. Matt Hardy was never anything more than a mid carder by himself. Correct.
The funny thing is, to me, I actually genuinely thought but the throw off was like you said, this guy was never going to be like. You're never going to guess him. But I had Triple H lined up. I had,
Triple H was number 14.
That makes sense.
Number 13 was Sheamus.
I wouldn't have thought of him.
That makes sense though.
It does.
This has to be from a certain year on. I'm not gonna make a huge stick of it or cry about it like Gene, but
I would cry.
There's no way. There's no way.
I'll Google it. Let's see. Most wins, WWF and WWE history. Let's see.
There's no way Bruno and...
But Tito Santana is on the list, though.
He was in the 80s, though. Bruno Sammartino literally had the belt from, like, 1960 to 1970. He didn't lose. He didn't lose for like a decade. There's no way he's not on this list.
Okay, just pulled up a list in the history of the most wins. Who's Pedro Morales?
You have to.
Yeah, like guys like that.
Individually.
Okay.
You have to do it individually.
Okay. Who's Pedro Morales? I didn't know who that guy is.
He's an older guy. He's before Hogan and all them.
Okay. Hold on. I got the top 10 from the Sportster. This has got Pedro Morales 1, but it's not WWE. It's 1960. Bret Hart, The Undertaker, Tito Santana, who you got, John Cena, Rey Mysterio, Hulk Hogan. Oh, it's adding WCW wins.
Exactly.
That's what this list is. He's right. Kane, Bruno Sammartino's 9, 12, 1,526
no
wins.
Nah, I'm officially protesting now.
Well, you can protest all you want. You lost.
How'd I lose? I guess when it was on there.
WWF in 1960. He said WWE, made it very clear.
I did.
He has 335 wins.
That time out. That's still wrong then. Because WWE was not Hogan and Tito. That was WWF.
But continue.
Yes.
You said he has 300 what?
What?
357 wins before joining the WWF/WWE.
Correct, which would drop him to like 1,200 something,
Correct.
which would be lower than
Yep, he's
the
right.
top 10.
He's right. I just looked it up. He's right. All right, we got to move on to college football, gentlemen. You can protest all you want. Shall I bring a question next week?
I'll try. I'm going to find the most goddamn freaking highly arguable question. No, 20 answers for 10 spots. Contest, protest, everything.
That's fair. You know, it's funny. The British Bulldog Davy Boy Smith was on the list too. Bob Backlund, The Big Show, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho with WCW. Yeah, and he's right. It breaks down the wins by organization. And what was the organization before WWE? It's
WWF before WWE.
No, before WWF. This is before. It says WWE/WWF wins, and then it has. Yeah, he's 7 years. Bruno Sammartino has the longest run as WWE champion. By the way, they list WWE and WWF as the same entity. WWE champion reign of all time, totaling gold for the last 7 years, which lasted several years. He was the most dominant champion ever throughout his career in the business. He had gained 1,526 wins, fending off Ivan Koloff, Gorilla Monsoon. But he has 356 wins prior to the organization.
And who was number 10?
Number 10 was Matt Hardy.
And how many wins did he have?
1,300 and change. Am I right?
1,306.
Yeah. Bruno went from 15 to 12, low 12, actually high 11s in WWE. It is what it is. We're going to move on to our beautiful topic of college football. College football, brother. Let's talk about it. Okay, Alex, if you're in the chat, it's your time. Your time to shine is here. Ducks fly together. Ducks. I'm kidding. It was a great game. 33-32. Just incredible football game. It's in Oregon. The game was played in Eugene. Control, break it down. What happened? What happened to the Buckeyes?
Defensively, they didn't show up. That's the best way to put it. Offensively, I liked what I saw. Of course, would have liked Judkins to be able to hit a home run or Travion to hit a home run, but I thought Travion ran well, and I thought Judkins was decent in spells there, but I thought the offense looked fine. That performance out of Will Howard, outside of quite literally the last play of the game, I couldn't have asked anything more of him in that game. I thought he played great, played lights out, didn't make any big time mistakes, things like that. Defensively, it was a joke. A lot of people are giving Jim Knowles shit for that game, and I get it. Oregon looked like a well-oiled machine and things like that. Well, I don't give him too much shit for it, because I think he went out there with the mindset that, hey, my guys are supposed to be better than their guys. He put Denzel Burke out there on an island on his own. Denzel Burke is supposed to be, if he would have went out last year, he would have been a late first, early second round pick. And he said, hey, you cover their receiver one-on-one, and whatever happens, happens. He put Igbinosun on the other side, said, hey, you cover their receiver one-on-one. We'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. Igbinosun held up his end of the deal. He was sticky in coverage all night long, especially while he was in man coverage. Denzel Burke, on the other hand, gave up 8 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's where the big explosive plays happen from Oregon. Now, it's not just Denzel Burke's fault in this one, though. You go up front, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, those are 2 guys who came in as number 1, number 2 ranked players in the country their freshman years, and they could have left and went to the NFL last year, and they would have also been first or second round draft picks. And they're going to go out at the end of this year, and they're going to be first, second round draft picks. And they got absolutely zero pressure on Dylan Gabriel. Jim Knowles shouldn't need to dial up blitzes when you have 2 bona fide top, 30 players in the entire country come April of next year. So, I mean, I think for me, you had superstars that did not hold up their end of the bargain defensively. And I get it. Jim Knowles does have to make the defensive adjustments, and you can't just keep rolling the same stuff out there if it's not working. But I think he was trying to go out there, trust his guys, and it didn't happen this week. So,
all right. So I got the chance to watch the second half of that game and the end of the first half. I got home just in time. I was talking to Shally after the tournament. I went home and watched the game. I'm gonna tell you what I seen. And Alex, if you're in the chat, I want to just preface this by saying I picked Oregon to win the national championship, and I picked Oregon in the game. And I said Jordan James would be the key piece to Oregon winning the game. Jordan James went out and ran for over 100 yards, was the best running back on the field between the 3 of them. No doubt in my mind. However, let me just preface this by saying this. Ohio State's a better football team. There's no doubt in my mind. After watching that game, it looked like Ohio State moved the ball by being a better team, like more power. Like it looked a lot easier for Ohio State to move the ball, and it looked a lot more misdirection, a lot more scheme, a lot more. Man, Dylan Gabriel pulled that read option on that 3rd and 7 in the third quarter. It was just like, I don't know how Ohio State. It was like Ohio State was playing what would it be called? Caveman football, where they just get the ball, and like just not controlling the edge, not playing disciplined football. It looked undisciplined. It looked like one side was more talented, and it looked like one side was more ready. And Oregon looked more ready. And I will say this: Oregon, look, I'm sure Cottrell might use it, Bill might use it. What Trayshawn Holden did on that field was despicable. Oregon losing one of their top 3 wide receivers early in the game for spitting on an Ohio State player, I thought was going to do them in. But give credit where credit's due. Those Oregon wide receivers, Evan Stewart and Tej Johnson, played their ass off. And Terrence Ferguson's going to be a very good tight end in the league, not just in Oregon. So they have a lot of weapons around them. I thought the difference in the game was schemed offense against overbearing defense. It almost looked like it was a mistake every time Oregon got first downs. And nothing against Oregon. It just looked like they were getting moved off the ball very often. I'd be curious to see what the number is, but I'll bet you Ohio State had more TFLs because they were in the backfield all day. It just seemed like, oh, the ball's over here, and just get everybody run over there, and it'd be a misdirection, and Oregon would end up moving the ball that way. I watched that football game, and it felt to me like Oregon got lucky. I don't want to say it that way, but it felt to me like they got lucky.
This is like a 2-sided coin for me. I definitely don't think Oregon got lucky. I think Dan Lanning and the OC just absolutely handed Jim Knowles his ass on that field.
Yeah, he did.
Saturday. I think Ohio State 100% has a national championship caliber offense. I don't think they have a national championship defense. This isn't a one-off thing. You go back and look at their last 5 biggest games, the last 3 Michigan games, the Missouri Bowl game, and now this game this week. His defense has given up over 2,000 yards of total offense and over 200 points in 5 games. This isn't a one-off thing. This is a pattern. I think I agree with Cottrell. I think Denzel Burke, I don't know if he had the shits. I don't know if he, somebody snuck something into his drink. I don't know what that was. He looked terrible Saturday. He got exposed Saturday. I thought they were weak up front, which is absolutely, I mean, we've talked about it nonstop on Coast to Coast. How, between Ohio State and Michigan, they're probably the 2 best front fours in the country. I don't think you can say that after Saturday. They have guys that have been there for 4 or 5 years and had playing time for 4 or 5 years. And listen, they're household names. Everyone knows who Jack Sawyer is. They're good players. They were non-existent. I think, I hate to say it, I don't think Jim Knowles is the answer on that side of the ball. I think it's fool's gold. I think Ryan Day called a good game. I think Chip Kelly called a good game. The one thing the only thing I've ever noticed, I think in big situations, I think Ryan Day has a tendency to kind of abandon the run a little bit early, like just a little bit, like a smidge early sometimes. And when you have 2 horses that you have on that team, I think there was opportunity for them to still run the ball when Oregon was clearly just going to be like, we'll give you like 10 yards. And that's probably the only criticism I would have. I think Will Howard played very well. I think Dylan Gabriel played great. I think he gave everything that Ohio State gave him, he took. I think they're both really good football teams. If I was an Ohio State fan looking at it objectively, I don't know how confident I would be, going against an Oregon or Georgia. I don't know exactly who else is going to be there at the end, Alabama, whoever. But that defense.
I'm worried about the number 1 team in the country, Texas.
Or Texas, yeah, sorry, Texas. That defense is an issue. Sorry, you can't look at their last 5 biggest games and be giving up between 450 and 500 yards of total offense every game, averaging over 40 points a game. Because to Cottrell's point, honestly, I do agree with him. There's too much talent on that side of the ball for them to play that badly. Like, there has to be adjustments somewhere. Like, if you're getting torched, like, come out of it. Like, come out of it and go into something else. Like, just at anything, like you said, they're running misdirection in anything. Give Dylan Gabriel something different to look at. Yeah. Like, it's whatever you're doing, he's clearly comfortable and just literally taking 4 steps and just launching the ball. He's like, that's where I want to go. Like, and they're not getting enough pressure up front. Like, you have to make an adjustment somewhere during the course of that game.
I definitely agree with that point. I would say, though, going in, though, Jim knows, like, as somebody that has, like, watched the team, like, play, like, both teams play, if I'm Ohio State, my game plan going in was, hey, I want Dylan Gabriel to beat me if he beats me over the top in great coverage and he's dropping dimes, so be it. That wasn't the case, though. He was getting wide open. I mean, Evan Stewart was getting 5 yards of separation on Denzel Burke almost every time they were matched up one-on-one. So, I mean, to Jim's detriment, obviously the easy thing is say, hey, don't be stubborn, get out of it. And I agree with that. At a point, you have to get out of that. And I'm not excusing the games in the past. I'm not excusing those games at all. I think this year is different than the last 4 because you have Caleb Downs, you have Igbenos in there, you got Burke, you got the guys up front. If you want to go man coverage, you should be able to play man coverage against anybody in the country with as much talent as you have in that secondary right now. So if I'm Jim, that's how I attack that game plan coming in. But to that same token, though, if I got JT and I got Jack up front, I shouldn't have to blitz to get home. The interior, I give the interior guys a lot of credit. Tyleek, He played well,
I thought
and
they
other
played
interior
well.
guys, they both play well. They were the best two on a line that has, you know, 2 future first round picks. But with all that said, you got to be better than secondary. That's really cut and dry what it comes out to. Jim, you got to be less stubborn, but I can't be mad at a coach for saying, hey, I got some of the best cover corners in the country. I got the best safety in the country. I'm gonna just let these guys play one-on-one, and we'll figure out what happens after that. I think my guys are better than their guys.
Okay. We got 3 first-ranked games we have to preview this week. Let's talk about them. Let's get the bullshit appetizer out of the way. As the Michigan Wolverines are going to take on, Illinois in a 24 versus 22. Could give 2 shits about this football game with the other 2 on the docket. But Shally, tell us how Michigan's going to beat Illinois.
I love the tough talk from the Penn State fan.
From the number 3 team in the country, I get it. We're here.
Yeah. I don't know if Michigan's going to win. So I will tell you, he's named Jack Tuttle the starter for the rest of the year, barring something happening, which is, I think, the move to go. I think you have to play them more honest now. I think you'll see a lot more Colston Loveland. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Illinois came off a wild game against Purdue last week. They were up like 24 at some point, and they ended up in overtime with them. But I think it's going to be kind of a rock 'em, sock 'em, smash 'em, old school type Big Ten game. I won't be surprised if we lose. I think they're favored by 3.5, which is scaring me in its own right. But I think Tuttle does make a difference. You're not going to be able to stack the box, which Mullings and Donovan should have better games. So, and that being said, the defense is finally healthy. Derek Moore is going to be back. Will's 100% again. I'll say Michigan wins 20-17.
I mean, I think it's going to come down to who runs football more effectively. Illinois, to Bill's point, this is going to be that ugly mutter football game where you got guys that are just going to try and run the hell out of football. And I think that with Illinois being at home, they would have the advantage on their side. I think the crowd will feed off of that energy. Can't talk right now. But you got to think, for this Illinois team, normally they are the underdogs in these big time matchups. This is probably the first time in a long time, even when they had some good teams in the past at Illinois. This is the first time in a long time where it's like, hey, this might actually be a game. So I think they do feed off of that energy, and I think this will be a tight one. Ultimately, I like the Wolverines to pull it out. I'll go 21-20, maybe a walk-off field goal or a defense just getting the stop, last drive of the game.
Another heart attack game for me. Wonderful.
I'll take Illinois in this game. I just think Luke Altmaier is a better quarterback than Jack Tuttle, and I think that will be the difference in the football game. Michigan has really struggled at the quarterback position this year. I'm glad that they named the starting quarterback for the rest of the year, but Luke Altmaier's had the best year of his career, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. They put up 50 points last week. Granted, it was against Purdue, but I think they'll have an easier time scoring than Michigan will. So give me Illinois in a situation where I feel like Illinois' offense is not better than Michigan's defense, but I think Michigan's offense is just not as good to be able to compete in this football game. Co-main event of the evening. This is like the co-main event of the evening. Alabama is going to go at the University of Tennessee, play the Vols. This is going to be a great football game. Alabama, since beating Georgia, has just looked, hey, please beat me. Lost the game to Vanderbilt and then tried to lose the game to South Carolina. They're going to play, a Tennessee team that's in the same world. Just beat me. Please beat me. It's one of those football games where the game is in Tennessee. It's in Nehmeyer Stadium. So I think that I can't believe that Tennessee lost at Arkansas and then was in a war with Florida of all teams. I don't call it a look-ahead game. Call it whatever you want to call it. Nico has not looked the same. He has not. I think how do you see this game playing out, Cottrell?
For me, I like Alabama. I think Alabama is one of those teams that they get up for big games. And this is one of those games where, I mean, this was one of the ones before the season where you looked at the schedule. You said, hey, we got Georgia. A couple weeks after that, we got Tennessee, and we got to go to Tennessee. And not too long ago, when we were, we've seen Tennessee rip the goalpost off and how crazy that environment can get there at that school. So I think that Bama will get up for this game, and I think they're going to make Nico very uncomfortable back there. Dylan Sampson had an incredible start to the year. He's definitely slowed down as far as like pace goes. I know he had 3 touchdowns last week, but he hasn't had the explosive run plays like you saw earlier on in the year. And I think that will be, a key factor here because Alabama can score in the fall of a hat. So I like Alabama in this game. I think it's going to be one of the more high scoring game. I'll go 34-24, but I like Alabama to take care of business in Tennessee.
I'm with you. I'm on Alabama also. I really wish I could pick Tennessee in this football game. But Nico has not looked the same since Oklahoma. He just hasn't. And I think with that being said, I think that Alabama puts it together this week. I think their offense will be able to move the football, and I think Alabama's defense is going to fluster and frustrate Nico more than Tennessee's defense will slow down Alabama's offense. Give me Alabama in this one, 27-23.
I think Alabama might win by more than that. I think this is a tale of out of the 4 units, I think 3 of them are not playing well right now. Yeah. Unfortunately, Alabama has the one that is. I trust Alabama's offense more than I trust anything else in this game. I think your defense is playing terrible, but teams have kind of figured out Nico a little bit. Arkansas and Florida both put a spy on him for the majority of the game, and they were like, if you want to drop back and you can just purely beat us by throwing the ball, then so be it. They're not letting him rip off 15, 20, 25-yard runs anymore. And that offense is stalled considerably and not looked as good. They haven't figured out a consistent running game yet. I don't think – I know going into Neyland is we saw it last year. But I don't think Lightning's going to strike twice here. I don't. I think Alabama's going to go in there. I think they're going to win the football game. I think I'll go 31-21 Alabama.
And then we got the main event in the evening. You got the Georgia Bulldogs going into Texas to take on the Longhorns. I mean, this is 1 versus 5. This is a matchup, and you look at the Red River rivalry. You thought there was going to be a football game in that game. That game was not that was a Red River beating. Texas has looked like the best team in the country. Georgia has been wearing that sign saying "Beat me" on them also. They're 5-point favorites. Texas is. I don't. This is an interesting football game, Shao. Where do you go on this one?
I'm going Texas, actually. I will say honestly, I was me and Cottrell, Georgia 3 weeks ago were literally same page, same line, same letter of the page. I thought after they lost, you were going to get the wake up call,
yep.
And you were to kind of see 2, dominating kind of ass kickings, leading up to going into Austin. They struggled 2 weeks ago. They struggled last week against an awful Mississippi State team. You got Kirby Smart pushing people. This is just not. They don't look like a typical Kirby Smart Georgia team right now, and I don't think there's enough experience and guys that have been there for a long time. That are just going to flip a switch and go into Austin and shut down Texas. I don't see it. I actually think this is kind of a shocking result on Saturday. I really do. I think Texas wins by 10, 13 points. I really do. I think Texas hands it to them and really kind of supplants himself as the number 1 team in the country.
Well, I'm rolling with Georgia here. I think this is the game where they bounce back. I get it. It's been weird to see them kind of just coasting through these games following that Bama loss, and I get it. It's definitely strange there, but we use this word all the time. I feel like it's a great fit for Carson Beck. He's a gamer. After what I saw in the second half versus that Alabama team. Him having no fear going out, being down 28-0, and he's like, hey, I got Bama right where I want him, essentially. I mean, he came out and he was absolutely lights out. I think that Texas defense is still vulnerable. I don't think they've seen an offense that has the capabilities that Georgia offense has. And I think they're going to be able to show that on Saturday night. So I like Georgia. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I think it's going to come down to which team makes that one play defensively to step up. And I think it's going to be Georgia. I'm rolling with the dogs. I'll go 31-27 in a tight one.
And look, Katra, your acumen in football is way better than mine. I just want to be very clear when I say it. College football is way better than mine. I don't know where in the world, though, you're getting that you think that Texas's defense is just still there to be had. They let up 38 points this year in 6 games, whereas Georgia let up 41 points to Bama. Should be clear.
Name one of the starting quarterbacks that Texas has faced.
Does that matter? Help me understand. They've just beaten the crap out of everybody that's in front of them.
They haven't seen a good offense all year. That's what the acumen is.
That's his point. The outlier, you would obviously look at it on paper and be like, they beat Michigan, but they beat Michigan with
a bad offense. They have a great defense, but they have a bad offense.
That's his point.
I get it. I'm gonna roll with Quinn Ewers. I'm gonna roll with Texas. I think they win this football game. I think it is close. I think Carson Beck is a gamer. But there's one thing you talk about in that Alabama game is how Carson Beck responded. What I'll talk about is how Carson Beck started. He, I think he threw 3 interceptions in that game, and he drew 2 that dropped off Alabama's hands. Like, he tried throwing the ball to Alabama in that game. I'm going to go Texas in this one. I think they win the football game. Give me 31-27. I don't know if they cover or not, but I'll go Texas winning the football game.
I think
maybe not covering.
I think this is Quinn's kind of legacy game at Texas, if I'm being honest. Again, and I still think he's getting underlooked. You still hear Carson Beck's name more than Quinn Ewers. You hear Shore Sanders. You hear Cam Ward now. Jalen Milroe. Nobody's talking about Quinn Ewers. He keeps winning games, putting up numbers. I think Quinn Ewers says, kind of hello, hi, I'm still here. I'm confident Texas wins that football game on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's get into college football pick'em as usual. If you want to get your full breakdown of college football action, you got to tune in to Coast to Coast Saturday morning. Tune in Saturday morning. These guys are going to give you a full table of college football breakdown. I'm still somehow winning in this. This is kind of ridiculous. I'll go first again.
Considering the hole I was in, dude. I'm catching up quick considering where I started.
I was 0-3.
6.
I'm going to start with a game, and I just don't even know how I'm going to pick it. I really don't. I just feel like that one thing's got to be better than the other. I think Auburn stinks, and I think Missouri isn't as bad as they looked. Give me Missouri minus 4.5 over Auburn. I'll take that as my first game. Second game on the docket, I think UCLA is not going to travel across the country for a 12 o'clock game and be any bit ready to play for Rutgers. I like Rutgers minus 4.5 over UCLA. And then a game that I really think that is interesting to look at is UConn. UConn is 4-2 this year. Give me UConn minus 1.5 over Wake Forest. I think they win the football game. I don't think Wake Forest is that good. And then for my super dog, I'm going to the well, and I'm going to make it very clear. A team that plays a game as well as and as big as Oregon played, and they got to go travel on the road on a short week on a Friday night. I'll take Purdue to pick me up some super dog points plus 27.5.
So there you go.
Shall we?
Oh.
All right. I almost picked the Rutgers game. I like the Rutgers pick. My first pick, though, I'm gonna go with the team, probably one of the hottest teams in the country that's still kind of not gaining traction. I will give Cottrell his roses. He's the only person that's really been on him since the beginning of the year. Texas A&M minus 14.5 over Mississippi State. Give me the Aggies. The rolling. Mississippi State's terrible. They are not as good as they played last week. A&M is hot, playing with a ton of confidence. I think they go in Mississippi State and win. Big. South Carolina, Oklahoma minus 1.5. I know Oklahoma looked like absolute dog shit last week. I do not think they played that bad again this week. I really don't. I think Texas is really, really good. Obviously, South Carolina struggled to beat anybody, let alone stay in certain games. At home, back in Norman, I think Oklahoma rights the ship, -1.5. I'll take the Sooners. Last game, Notre Dame at Georgia Tech, plus 11.5. Give me Georgia Tech. I think Notre Dame will win the game. I think this game is a lot tighter than the 11.5 spread. Georgia Tech's going to run the ball. Notre Dame lost another starting defensive player again today for the year. They're a little bit banged up. I think Georgia Tech's defense plays well enough against Riley Leonard and that offense to keep him in the game. I think 11.5 is a big number. I will take Georgia Tech there. Superdog, I agree with Gene. I think Purdue finally played with some confidence against Illinois last week. Oregon on a short week. Again, talked about it a million times, especially with kids. When you come off a huge win like that, it's natural to exhale a little bit, walk around campus all week. You got girls jumping at you, telling you the best, blah, 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 blah. You're distracted. Got to travel to Purdue, short week. I think Purdue stays in the game. Oregon obviously wins. Don't get me wrong. This is not an upset alert type thing. 4 touchdowns is a lot in the Big Ten. Purdue's going to play with a little bit of pride there. So I'll take Purdue plus 27.5.
All right, so I'll go next here. First pick, I like Nebraska plus 6.5 at Indiana. Indiana's getting a lot of love right now because they're undefeated and Curtis O'Rourke is having a phenomenal start to the year. But let's not forget, this Nebraska offense has the capability to score with the best of them. And I do think Nebraska will keep this game tight, even on the road going to Indiana. So I think Indiana still might squeak that game out, but I would not be surprised at all if Nebraska won that game outright. So I love them at the plus 6.5 mark. Second game I like. Team that's been very underwhelming so far this year, and that's Kansas. But I love them -5.5 at home versus Houston. Houston is not a good football team at all. And I don't care how bad Kansas has been playing. Them playing at home, they're going to take care of business against a really bad Houston football team. In the last game, and I absolutely love this game, I like Florida plus 1.5 at home versus Kentucky. This may have finally saved Billy Napier's career. Graham Mertz had a season-ending injury, and you're going to have DJ Lagaway starting quarterback the rest of the year. And I know you get a lot of highs and a lot of lows with DJ. He's a freshman, and he truly plays like it. But they have a different energy when he's out there on the field, and he gives them the ability to have some big-time explosive plays. So I think he puts his name out on the map at home against the Kentucky team that's been primed for a lot of upsets so far, throughout this year. And in the last game, I agree with both of you guys. And the last time that we agreed on a super dog, we cashed in big. I'm rolling with Purdue as well, plus 27.5 versus Oregon for the exact same reasons. I know firsthand, going to Purdue, playing there at night, it is no walk in the park. You're doing it on a short week, and these guys have the confidence rolling in off of that Illinois game. Plus, Oregon gets to exhale. It's like, we made it over that hump of our season. So I do think it's a match made in heaven for the super dog pick here. Like Shally said, don't think this is one of those games where Oregon's on upset alert, but I do think this is a good game to pick me up some super dog points.
Do want to just real quickly cover some WNBA updates. The Liberty Lynx 1-1 series. We are at the 2-hour mark, but I don't want to skip this over because it deserves its conversation. The Liberty Lynx at 1-1 in the series. First game of the WNBA Finals, Brianna Stewart found herself at the free throw line with an opportunity to win the game, and she didn't. With that being said, came back game 2 and really set the tone. She looked great in game 2. Was the best player on the court. It was hands down, no question. This game, a little different. It's in Minnesota. Next 2 games will be in Minnesota. Minnesota has an 8-point lead at the half. It's the first time they've led at half in this series. So Nafisa Collier, Caleb McBride, and the Lynx, who have been one of the top defensive units in the WNBA, are really making this a series. In a series I didn't think that would be that close. I thought that the Liberty would impose their will in this series. I thought the finals was Liberty Aces last round. It's showing you that, the United States still has to beat Sweden after they beat Russia. Catch my little miracle reference. But this is what you're looking at. Liberty Lynx are winning. That it could take a 2-1 series lead Cottrell, what have you seen in the series? How are the Lynx just, we all picked Connecticut over the Lynx last round.
Mm-hmm.
We all picked New York over Minnesota this round. How are the Lynx hanging in the series? What are they doing?
I mean, the one thing that they're doing is obviously game one, never gave up. You get in a situation where it's game one, you're in New York, and the women on this Liberty team, they've been there before. Like Brandon Stewart, she knows what it takes to win WNBA final. So to be able to have an incredible comeback like that in the fourth quarter against that Liberty team, I think that's huge. But I also think the most important thing that they've been doing is this hasn't been the Nafisha Collier show. As incredible as she was all regular season, and she got MVP votes and she deservedly, got those votes. She hasn't been the best player. She may have been the most consistent player throughout the series, but you look game by game, she hasn't been, the best player. Game one, Courtney Williams shot them back into the game, and obviously she hit the three to put them ahead, before the Breanna Stewart free throws there. Kayla McBride, she's been playing excellent so far throughout the finals as well. So I think for Minnesota, it's realizing throughout the entire regular season, they play good defense, and the role players were definitely great complementary pieces. But you knew, end of the day, it was all going through Nafisha, and you even seen that towards the end of that Sun series that she dropped to 40. She had a 40-point game, in that series. So I think Minnesota's done a great job of making sure they get their role players involved and not just being a one-dimensional team. And then on the flip side of it, Stewie's got to flip a gear. She's got to go out and show that, hey, I need to be the best player in this series for my team to win. Sabrina's definitely going to be a great Robin, but you need Batman to get the shots off as well. So I think for the Liberty, they get the luxury of keeping it simple. We need to go through Breanna Stewart to make sure we win these basketball games. For Minnesota, our role players need to keep playing well. We're back at home, so they should play well. They should get that boost from being at home, and we should take care of business.
Joe, any thoughts on the series?
No, I mean, listen, I think Minnesota coming down the stretch. I mean, I remember the one press conference they kind of had an attitude after they beat. I want to say they beat Connecticut. And they were, somebody asked them like what you thought their chances were to win the WNBA finals, and they said damn good. They said just nobody's talking about us. All you hear is about the Aces or the Liberty, Connecticut. But we're sitting here with a better record than two of the three of them, and we're a good team. They play very well at home. They're 16-4 at home this year, and they've given the Liberty trouble all year. Another game tonight. I think Stewie's got 8 to break. Sabrina's got 2, and then Collier and McBride have 15 and 9 respectively. They're just playing better, and they play good defense. And like Cottrell said, game one, I think everybody thought that game was over. Came back, fought. Breanna, literally had the ball in her hands to win the game. Missed the second free throw. Missed the game-winning jumper at the horn in overtime. I think it's just a case where it's also Minnesota's not overwhelmed or scared to play New York. I think they know they belong on the court with them. There's no type of intimidation or overwhelming feeling type situation going on there. So I think this is going to be a dogfight unless Sabrina and Bree flip an absolute switch and get back to, they're both scoring 20, 25 a game. If they're not getting back to that, I think this is a dogfight till the end.
Just a question, and Cottrell, you could probably attest to this. Cheryl Reeve, how much of an impact is a great head coach in women's basketball having on this Minnesota Lynx team?
I mean, for sure a ton. And I mean, I think it's important to have a coach that fits the mold of players that you have as well. And you can tell that Lynx team is tight. And I think a big part of that is because of, what she's been able to do with them. This Lynx team, I mean, granted, I just talked to you about how I love their role players and how they've been playing. But outside of Nafisha, they don't have that second WNBA like bona fide star that a lot of the other best teams in the W have. So for them, it's about they buy into the cohesiveness, they buy into the defensive intensity, and they buy into just trusting each other all day long. I mean, and that literally was on display in game one. That Nafisha's your go-to star. Courtney was hot down the stretch, and they had all the confidence in the world to just keep feeding her the ball to keep shooting threes, and she was hitting them, as the night went on. So, I mean, I think when you have a great coach like that really gets the team to buy into the culture and buy into the sacrifices that it takes to be a WNBA champion, then you're getting the product that you see right now with that Minnesota Lynx team.
I'll tell you what, I thought it was kind of crazy, and one thing I talk about when I see the WNBA is how absolutely honest some of these coaches are. She said after the game that Courtney Williams wasn't into the game and that she needed to be better. And we don't pay you to play at 7 p.m. We have a game at noon. We pay you to play then too. That shit never flies in the NBA. That's just wild. But let's get into You Got to Be Kidding Me. Shally, I don't care which one you take. There's two of them. They're both low-hanging fruits. I'll take the opposite depending on which one you want.
I don't think I'm taking Kachuk goes first, but I don't think I'm taking either one of them that you think I'm taking.
Well, I know.
Mine is connected to you though.
I had two. We've kind of briefly touched on them already. So I'll just bring them up here again. Trayshawn Holden, Oregon Duck receiver, spit Davison and Igbinosen's way, ultimately got ejected. Absolutely cowardly to do so. It's a football game. Emotions literally should never run that high. And Davison looked rather surprised by it. Like, he didn't give a reaction to fight back. So, I mean, that almost makes me wonder, like, what possibly could have gotten said there. But, in that moment, almost like it caught him by surprise how it happened. So that was one. And then the other one was the way Aaron Rodgers threw Mike Williams under the bus, specifically the press conference. The press conference was absolutely awful. You go out after the game and you basically tell the media, hey, this guy ran the wrong route and I was going to no-look him the ball just to get the defenders off of that way. But he's open the entire time. So you just say you underthrew the ball. Even if that's not the case, you underthrew it, leave it at that. But, again, I'll save the time for you guys. I know you guys got some stuff that we have not touched on yet. But this week for me, Trayshawn Holden, Aaron Rodgers.
Kidding me.
Well, one of the low-hanging fruits I thought he might take would be the Trayshawn Holden one. But
only thing I'll say about
Dave lost. Oh, there we go.
The same reaction to what happened. The only thing I will say I'll give that kid credit for is his apology was one of the best apologies I've ever seen. Didn't blame anybody. Took full guilt of everything that happened. Says completely on him. Didn't blame it on any other kind of factor, anything at all. Kid took full responsibility for what he did. So, but still crap. You can't be spitting on people in a football game. That being said, kind of interwoven in all this, you got to go back like 5, 6, 7 shows maybe. And G made a really good point one time about it's okay to like promote yourself or even be a fan of somebody. You can do it without tearing somebody else down. And that's where I'm going to go tonight. Travis Hunter gave an interview yesterday in regards to, I think it was with On 3 actually. They asked him a bunch of questions about like how good of a player thinks he is. And again, I have no problem with you saying you're the best player in college football because you probably are. Two-way player, he's the best. He's the best two-way player to do it clearly since Charles Woodson did it. Then it got down to the Heisman thing, and he threw Ashton Genty under the bus for no reason, none. Didn't even have to bring him up. Pretty much said he's a running back. We've seen running backs do this before. It's pretty much not that big a deal, blah, blah, blah. He's had 95 carries. If I touch the ball 95 times, what do you think I would do? Blah, blah, blah. Again, you don't need to do it. Your play is already spoken for itself. Everybody knows you're a great player. You're going to get invited to the Heisman at the end of the year. You might win it. You're going to go to the NFL. You might be the number 1 pick. Don't be that guy already setting precedents being, I got to trash everybody around me to make myself look better. Because you don't. You're a great player. You threw a kid under the bus who's done nothing but to go out and play football, hasn't said a word to anybody, hasn't trashed anybody, hasn't done anything. There was no reason to throw shade on somebody that wasn't even part of the conversation. Be better, be above it all, worry about yourself, keep going, play well in the field, and go do your thing, and don't trash other players. There's no reason for it. That's mine.
kidding me?
Kind of give a little bit of synopsis on this earlier. And I don't care about this bullshit apology that he gave on Tuesday. I really don't. Nick Sirianni was seen getting into it with his own crowd. And it's kind of crazy when you win a football game in the NFL and you improve to 3-2 and the lead conversation on the game isn't your team winning the football game. It's you chirping with your own fans about beating the hapless and lowly Browns, a team that has one win this season, who is dysfunctional is an understatement. You got a situation in Philadelphia in which you have a coach that's an absolute clown. And the offense hasn't scored in the first quarter all year. He he chirps with the Eagles fans about running the football. And then I can't hear you when they win the football game. By the way, I don't care what anybody says. That was an awful play call to throw the ball, a bomb to A.J. Brown. Very low percentage play. Granted, it worked. They won the football game. Good job. You're walking around bragging about winning a football game at home in which you were a 10-point favorite. Come on, man. And then you go in the press conference knowing you're about to get heat, and you bring your stinking kids in there so they don't ask you tough questions. Nick, you got to be better. I was all for firing this guy in January and February when he should have been fired at the end of the collapse of last year. They kept him there. They hired an OC. They hired a DC. Team still has massive dysfunctional issues. And now you're chirping with the home fans. Dude, you're going to find yourself. They're going to go up there in New York and lose this football game to the Giants. He's going to get fired. I'm telling you that right now. They're going to go up to New York. They're going to lose this football game. And Nick Sirianni's going to be fired. And remember this goddamn podcast when that happens. Nick Sirianni, you're a buffoon. You're a clown. You should be happy that you're coaching in the NFL. And you should be not arguing with the fans, the most passionate fans in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles fans. For that, this week, Nick Sirianni.
Kidding me?
I do have one thing I want to add. Last week, and she's probably not even in the chat anymore, but we missed a birthday, a very important birthday. Her birthday was 5 days ago. So we'll go back and wish a happy birthday to one Tiny Williams. She's constantly in the chat. Love her. Awesome person. Happy birthday, Tiny. Want to wish you a happy birthday. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I would like to wish Tiny happy birthday as well. I did wish her happy birthday on Facebook. I also feel like this is the second time Cottrell has dropped the ball with this in the history of the show.
I'm not birthday guy. They know I'm not birthday guy. It's all right.
But it's Tiny, bro. You can't. I mean,
Because
yeah, like Tiny. The disrespect for Cottrell. I mean, I just don't get it.
It's not personal. You know, they don't take it personal. It's just I'm not birthday.
there
guy.
she is.
There she is. She's always here.
I told her on her birthday. You know, she stopped by. She came to Columbus. You know, we had a good time.
You gotta tell us. You gotta tell us because we love Tiny too.
Yeah.
Right. Well, your birthday people. I'm not birthday guy. What can I say?
It's a bad excuse.
Any final comments, gentlemen?
Trell's a dump. I got nothing.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast, episode 210. I am Wire2Wire Gene. That is Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Cottrell, Scholastic Shy, Uncle Shy, Mr. William Shawcross, and we are signing out.